Good afternoon, good evening, and how's everyone doing today? It's me, Brandon Valley with Still Frosted Gaming, and with me is Mr. Stephen Crawley. Would you care to introduce yourself, sir?
Hi, it's Steven, the and I wish Tyranids were better today. Leaning into the aspect that we're supposed to go into. Also, Diablo 4 is a hell of a drug.
It is you. So I wanted to make sure everything was working correctly, just because it's my first time hosting a stream, and Steven's just clicking away, just blank faced, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm playing Diablo." Oh, okay.
Hey, I can multitask. I'm not going to do it while we're streaming, but I can definitely multitask.
I'm proud of you. But today we're going to be talking about Space Marines and Tyranids from the Leviathan box sets, and I have them pulled up right now. So before we dive deep into these, Stephen, I do just want to say Brad is still recovering. Brad had was in the hospital last night. That's why he wasn't able to make the stream last night, and he's probably going to take some couple days off this week just to recover. And we wish him the best, and I hope he gets better soon. So Steven is stepping in to help me talk about Space Marines because I'm really excited to talk about Space Marines.
Might even get to hobby later this week. Hoo 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 hoo.
Ooh,
But yeah, we hope Brad gets
we
better
we certainly
very
do. But I
soon.
kind of want to see Steven hobby with me on the Wednesday stream.
That's exciting.
All right. So those in chat, can you guys hear me all right? Just to confirm everything. All right, cool. So let's start off with the Space Marine Captain and Terminator armor. Go ahead, Steven. What do you think about this bad boy?
I think that he is going to be core to where we're going with Space Marine.
And what do you mean by
Um,
that?
Well, he's a generally so basically we've had the conversation before, and I know since we've had it offline, I'll have it on here. I don't think with the speed and a lot of things that we've seen so far that lone operative is going to be very strong. I think you'll see a characteristic one or two that can do well because you can screen them out. But in general, like I don't think that you're going to be leaning aggressively into lone operative. So I think that like stuff like the captain, like we're seeing here, is really good. And obviously this captain's pretty tooled out for melee, but we'll see more as we go on. Um, I just really do think that we're moving towards that, and I think this captain's exactly what you want to see between Rites of Battle, Imperium Sword making a regeneration. But yeah, let's go into the data sheet.
I mean, I'm excited about him. Like he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I there's two things I'm confused about. The first thing I'm confused about is the combi weapon. So we first went over combi weapons way back when we talked about Death Guard. Mr. Chester and I talked about Death Guard, and we saw that they were now dealing devastating wounds. They had anti-infantry, but they still look like a plasma gun slapped to a bolter, or a flamer slapped to a bolter, or a melta gun slapped to a bolter. And I guess I'm just confused as to why they're not two separate guns and now they're just as one profile. Perhaps that might lean into something being more coming in the future, like when the Codex releases. I don't know. I would like to see a little more versatility with the combi weapons, but it's not bad, especially if you have like Unit 10 Stern Guard that we'll cover in a little bit.
I'm part of me thinks that it's the box effect where they're trying to make the rules in the box more simple for people just to
Mhm.
run into games with, and then in the codex we'll see a difference. The weird part though is with the Death Guard index we see the same thing with the Blight Lord Terminators, which I would have expected them to have their loadouts, right? But we also see with um, the Plague Marines
Mhm.
having all their weapons combined down. It might be just trying to reduce WYSIWYG bloat. But it's a really weird way of doing it, right? Because you want your melted guns and stuff like that. You chose those for a reason. But yeah.
Well, I agree with you, but what I don't get is like with the Stern Guard, and we'll take a look at their entry in a little bit. Like it clearly is a plasma gun and clearly a flamer and a melting gun.
Yeah.
I just don't get why they still have three very different looking combi weapons if this is the direction they're going. Which just leads me to believe that we'll probably get a reverted version of combi weapons in the future, but this is just the streamlined version for now. Um,
Yeah.
and the other thing I was a little concerned about is that Thunderhammer only dealing 2 damage. Now, we've seen across the board that damage and strength and AP have all gone down a little bit, but I don't know why you would choose a Thunderhammer over Power Fist or a Chain Fist.
I really don't see and I mean in this current situation, right? Like we've seen weapons go up and down edition based all the time. I think that with like some other aspects, we've seen other weapons where you'll be choosing the other one. The Thunderhammer going down to damage 2 makes it a really weird choice because it basically is the exact same thing as a Power Fist, right? And at that point, why have two separate weapons other than Rule of Cool? Which, by the way, completely down with the Rule of Cool,
Mhm.
but it's just a thing, right? It's a question without answer at this time.
Well, and it might be that we haven't seen the flip. Actually, let's go to the flip side. Yeah, so you can swap out, a Stormbolter for a Thunderhammer, or you can have whatever combination of stuff that you want, right? So you can have a Chain Fist and a
Right.
Thunderhammer if you wanted. So yeah, I'm just not sure. I guess we'll see what the cost is, but like, if I could build my captain any way I want, like I would do a Storm Shield and a Chain Fist. Like Chain Fist is same amount of attack, same weapon skill, but at least it's doing something against vehicles more reliably.
I think I'd go. At this point, I would probably go Chain Fist and Relic Weapon, because of the fact that it gives me one's a good anti-infantry weapon, where I get one extra attack and I'm hitting on twos, whereas the Chain Fist is back to hitting on threes, but it's strength 8 and it's really good into vehicles. So I've got two good melee profiles there. I don't find the Relic Shield with that extra one wound being worth the slot in this edition, but I mean one wound makes a difference. Sometimes you try to kill a Sentinel and it just lives on one.
See, I actually disagree with you. I think storm shields and shield drones in general are probably going to be useful, and the reason being is it throws off the numbers. So if we look, most damage, like anti-infantry damage, is going to be 1 or 2 damage, and that just means it's a whole nother attack. So like if you're shooting at your Terminator squad, they have 3 wounds. Probably not worth the regular Terminators, but characters who have an even number of wounds going to that odd number, they're probably going to live a little bit longer against those damage 1 and 2 attacks.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good question.
Uh,
Plus, Storm Shields do look just.
oh yeah, I already have a beautiful Terminator captain with like a nice angelic storm shield and a Thunderhammer that I'm going to have to proxy as a Chain Fist. But
I'll
so
probably just put a chain fist on the back of my sword axe. Be like, yeah, see, he's got a chain.
he's got a chain hammer sword.
Exactly.
But so I like that he could take an auxiliary grenade launcher. So that's a nod to um, the Relic Terminator loadout, where he can have a grenade launcher on his back, and we see that he can join 3 different types of Terminator squads. Um, so pretty solid. Like not bad. I'm a little concerned about movement, but that's always been an issue with Terminators.
Yeah, plus them being able to redeploy with the item that's pretty good too. Or sorry, come down with rapid ingress using the item and all that is really good. I like the loadout that it has for gear wise though.
So then we go to the library, and this is a beautiful model, by the way.
Yes, fantastic.
So what do you think about him?
I think that he is probably going to be one of the staples for Marines this edition. Just giving a unit sustained hits is really good. 4-up Feel No Pain versus psychic attacks is also just excellently fantastic. He also has the combi weapon for those rapid fire mortal wounds, in addition to his devastating wounds on his Witchfire. So he's going to put out a surprising amount of cool damage there. He does have a Force Axe in the stats for a Force Axe, so that's pretty cool. But I do think he's going to be one of the character attachments that you're going to see attached to units in this edition.
So I haven't read the core rules yet. I'm a terrible 40k player. I've had them since Friday, and I haven't read them yet. So if this guy is attached to a unit and he takes hazardous damage, like he just takes those 3 wounds from failing his hazardous test, do all the other wounds have to be allocated to him, or do they still go on the squad?
No. Characters cannot, and it specifically is in bold, cannot take any damage until their boarded guard unit does, unless they take a hazardous check or they take precision damage.
Okay.
So no matter what, even if your character's on 1 wound remaining, you can't get hit until your squad's dead unless they're using that specific.
All right. As we were discussing yesterday, apparently if you're going to the Salt City GT, you got to do those hazardous tests and do a shot every time you do it. So.
No, it says shot every time you don't take
every
a
time.
hazardous
Oh,
test.
well.
Yeah, the bet is you take it. It's like it's a sucker bet if you don't do the thing. But honestly, Veil of Time combined with like Terminators, especially considering you're going to want to what's it called? You're going to want to not abuse, use the heck out of Oath of the Moment with the full
Mm,
rerolls, especially with the oh, we haven't gotten there yet, but the rapid, what is it called? Assault cannon? Yeah,
yeah, the
assault
assault
cannon
cannon.
for for devastating wounds, just going to be fantastic, man.
So it appears that you can only put a captain or a librarian in the unit. Which one are you choosing? If you were just play out of the starter box.
So I'm probably going to have, if I'm just playing out of the starter box, because I'm buying multiple starter boxes,
Okay,
I'm
just
going
so
to
everyone
do.
knows, Steven is buying not one, not two, but six starter boxes.
Hey, 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 hey.
Six,
You know,
six starter boxes.
I got to get my chain fists on and I got to get my devastating wounds on. I just want to make sure I've got enough stern guard for the entire edition. And, Von Ryan's Leapers look really, really good. So I
But
had to get some of.
but you know they're coming out with new kits for those with more weapon options and everything. And you're gonna be very sad when your 30
It,
stern guard can take grav cannons or something, and you're like, oh man, good thing I have these push fit stern guard.
it took like 8 months for them to give Blade Guard their own kit, if not longer. Chat, how long did it take for Blade Guard veterans to get their own
It was
option? I
not
think it was a
it was
very
not
long
8 months.
time. Okay, now you're gonna make me look it up, or I'll wait till
Well,
chat does. But anyway,
Chad, look it up
if
for
I
me.
had to pick one or the other, I'm going to say librarian because the librarian mixed with the other ability is fantastic. But it does bring up an interesting question that the box for Space Marine side doesn't function. We'll get a little bit more into that reason later, but basically, there's a lot of leader models, and they lack the keyword to put a lot of leader models on the same unit.
Hmm.
So it makes playing this as a box on box is very interesting.
Right. All right. So you could join the same units. Okay. I do like how they've given all Terminators just a forfeit vulnerable save, by the way. Like that's gonna
Hmm.
dramatically improve how durable they are. So
Yeah,
so
extremely.
next up we got the Inferno Squad. And I'm actually really excited about these guys. Like this is probably gonna be the first unit I'm gonna build out of the starter box. I already have conversion ideas. Like I'm gonna have 3D flames coming off of them that I'm gonna sculpt. Like I'm ready. But do they have a role? Like, yeah, versus Tyranids in the starter box, absolutely. But like in what we've seen with the other data sheets, do they have a role in 40K?
So here's the long and the short of it, okay? Marines are going to be one of those factions that hopefully will have the depth of data sheets that will be able to react as other books come out. Because Inferno squads by themselves are not necessarily a good all-comers data sheet, right? They are a good into Eldar, good into Tyranids if they're spamming a lot of low damage stuff, right? They're really good with being able to flame on the opposing turn because they ignore cover and stuff like that. But as a data sheet by itself, it doesn't really hold up because it's not very flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Depending on other abilities that we see, it might become more flexible. But it's an interesting one, right? In the box, it's incredibly fantastic because of Gaunt being able to be regened, respawning, moving around, and then getting flamers on like Von Ryan's Leapers if they're trying to come in on you. In the box versus the box, it's great. In the overall meta, I think you'll have a place for them sitting behind some of your things to be able to be like, hey, those warp spiders want to zap me in the back. Shame that I'm already ready for
I
them.
mean, I could see these in a drop pod or a Rhino, and just do a drive-by flaming.
Right, but let's say that you're playing into like what's an army that
Nice Imperial
traditionally.
Knights.
No, I don't want to go that skewy. Let's play you're playing into Tau, right? You have like one data sheet, maybe one and a half data sheets on the entire table that you can interact with that unit, other than just praying to the dice gods to give you fives when you're trying to shoot armigers. Sorry, I'm going back to your reference, but like it's just not as good of a data sheet into that. If they had a pip of AP, I could see a little bit more then because that strength five gets a little bit used more there. But I have concerns. I know the overall AP is down, but that just means that people are going to gravitate harder to AP when they see it.
So what do you think about them dishing out battle shock tests? I mean, it's a nice little trick.
Battle shock is a weird aspect on your opponent's turn because it cleanses during their command phase. So depending on secondaries, if there's like a new stranglehold where you need to control at the end of your turn, you hit it and you get it, it could make your life easy. But it's not something that you necessarily want to rely on for yours unless You're doing it where you're about to go into something that might Overwatch or something.
Hmm.
So it's niche. It's good niche. But until we see more value out of Battle Shock as the edition grows, I don't know.
Okay. I'm a little bummed that they aren't assault, so you can't like advance and shoot them like I would expect a flamer, but it is what it is.
Yep.
All right, and we can take 10-man squads and no war gear. I also hope when the Space Marine Codex launches, we can get the Sergeant's war gear. I think it's silly that they can't have anything, not even a power sword. So
I
that's
need
always
my
been a bug of
Furnace
mine for
Thunderhammer.
like all the Primera stuff. It's like, hey, I have a Sergeant, but he doesn't get anything.
Can't the Assault Intercessors take a hammer as their on their Sergeant
The
when you
Assault
the
Intercessors and
non-Indominus?
the regular Intercessors can.
Okay.
No one else can. So like the Outriders need a close combat weapon. That's not a chainsword.
I completely agree.
Uh, All right, Stern Guard. I'm digging it. I think they're pretty cool. I still don't understand the streamlined combi weapons. I also don't understand why you can't give the sergeant any close combat weapons. But I mean, out of the box, this isn't bad. Like, look at all those keywords on the Stern Guard bolt rifle.
Yeah. They're going to be fantastic in the box relative to the other
Hmm.
box, right? They're another unit that I think that you will see a lot of depending on how frequently things change up. I do wish that you could have attached one of the characters above to this unit, but I imagine that in the codex or in the data sheets that we'll have a captain that we can attach
Yeah.
to them that'll give them cool abilities and stuff like that. And also bolter drill, just being able to shoot twice,
Yeah, it
really,
helps you
really
clear out a
cool.
trash unit like with only one or two models, and you can fire again immediately.
Yep. And also, I cannot stress this enough. They've got a lot of devastating wounds, and combine that with Oath of the Moment, and you're getting a lot of work done,
Hmm.
right? Like, you need sixes to wound anyway with strength 5 and 4, so we're right there where we need to be.
And that's why I was thinking like the Stern Guard bolt rifle, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm playing in the Knights, ideally, not that great of a matchup, but you're getting three shots. You can advance and shoot. You're fishing for sixes anyways. It just gives you more opportunities for fish for sixes.
Yeah. And with the amount of devastating wounds they have, I think they're going to be a squad that you'll see some of.
Now I don't know about 30 like Mr. Stephen Crawley's about to buy, but I can see a unit of 10.
Hey, sir, I am prepared for any way the meta swings.
All right.
Also, I'd like to note for a lore thing, since we're basically kind of abolishing the whole Primaris thing,
Mhm.
it's really cool that we're seeing the Mark, I can't remember the Mark numbers, Primaris Marine and then a Primaris sized baby Marine helmet. I think that's Mark 3. I'm probably wrong about that. Somebody will correct me. But we're seeing the both types of the helmet types on the units now, which is really cool.
And as someone who loves the beaky helmets and all the alternative shoulder pads, like I'm going to be putting those in all my squads. I already had been, but now I'm going to do
Yeah.
so more often. And
But now you have the lore reason. Now you have the lore justification.
my lore justification is I do what I want because it looks cool.
Exactly. There you go.
But yeah, I like with the Stern Guard, I'm not going to go buy 30 of them because I have 20 Stern Guard behind me that are firstborn. And they all have new bases. They all have combi weapons or regular bolters. Like, I'm just going to use the Primaris ones and the regular infantry ones and just mix the squads together. Like, I think it'll be pretty cool.
Very much so.
All right. One thing I'm pretty excited about is the fact that everybody can have a bolt rifle, or everybody can have a combi weapon, or you can do a mix and match. Like I was a little concerned that it was going to be for every 5 models. 2 guys have combi weapons, 2 guys have bolt rifles, 1 guy has a heavy bolter. I was a little concerned about that, but I'm glad they did not do that.
Very true.
All right.
They also have the grenades keyword, so they get to use the grenade strat, which is really cool.
And what is that grenade trap for people who don't know?
Don't quote me off the top of my head. It's just 1 CP at the before you shoot, so you can actually still shoot normally, but you can't do it after you've already shot. You roll X number of dice, and on a 4-up, you just do mortal wounds. I think it caps at like 3. It might even be just 3 dice, or it might be 6 dice. But it's just a really cool strat to be able to help you like chip off some wounds. Let's say there's like 2 leapers left. You throw that, get it down to 1, stern guard, kill them, and then they get to shoot again because you killed something. So you get to have reliability in your acing of something.
Let's see. Did the Infernus Marines have grenade keyword? Yeah. So the Infernus Marines also have the grenades keyword.
I imagine a lot of things in Marines will have it. Um, Drukari also usually has an unusual amount of grenades present on models. We'll see how often it is it's used.
All right. So next we have the Ballistus Dreadnought. Not a fan of the way this model looks, but how is it rules wise? What do you think?
It's the legs. If you look at the model, it's the legs.
He looks so stubby. I don't. This model's
You gotta
gigantic.
find
And he looks stubby.
you gotta find a way to get like one of those flags that the Imperial Knights use, so that you can put a flag between its legs to make it girth it out a little bit. Or yeah, 66. Thank you, Anna.
I mean, I'll probably reposition the legs and just make it a bigger tactical rock to stand on. But like, I don't know.
I have the idea of getting a what's the Primaris, the Victus Warsuit, because mine are reverse jointed, and then doing another reverse joint leg set and seeing if I can mech warrior this thing.
Okay. You could probably mix in Sentinel parts.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I could try that.
All right.
But anyway, being able to whenever you're hitting something that's above half strength or half health is fantastic for just getting reroll hit rolls. It gets O's in the moment, which is just also fantastic. Stormbolter is still really good. The last cannon having 2 shots at D6+1, wounding knights on a 4 is good. It's all overall a good profile. It'll really depend on points to see how often it's used. Also, the Walker keyword I think is new. I don't think we had the Dreadnoughts having Walker keywords before, so I'm interested to see what that does. But yeah, overall, it's pretty exciting. It's an exciting Dreadnought to use.
So a little bit of conjecture. So historically, like with 8th edition starter set, they came out with the Redemptor initially, and it had the Onslaught Gatling cannon. And then we, get the actual model, and then it comes with the plasma cannon. What kind of weapon loadouts do you think this might come with, if they do an alternate version?
Oh, I don't even know. What are the other big guns for the Ironclad, which is basically what this is effectively replacing?
No, the Brutalist is the Ironclad. This is just the regular box knot. And it was Last Cannon, Missile Launcher, Power Fist, Multi-Melta. And then
I could see a multi-melta option for it.
You had a plasma cannon and heavy flamer options. Yeah, but that's when you go in the Venerable. And then they had the one where you could put like 2 sets of auto cannons on it, which was fantastic. And then they went to Legends.
There you go. Since we just lost the Daredeo, we'll get a Daredeo equivalent so you can have the 2 auto cannons on both sides.
I would love that, actually. Auto cannons. We were looking at Guard yesterday with the auto cannons.
Strength 9, AP 1, damage 3, I think. They were
fantastic.
Even better.
Fantastic. All right.
Oh, thank you, Anna. So you can only use Heroic Intervention on a vehicle if it has the Walker keyword. So that is a very important aspect. That would be a good reason to have the Walker keyword.
So no Heroic Intervention, your Beyblade.
Oh, but my repulsor, my Astreus wanted to heroically intervene. Can I attach these legs to my Astreus?
Now, I hadn't looked, but I'm assuming it's still a rule. Can you split fire with a single model? Like, can you put like 2 guns one way, 2 guns another way?
Weapon by weapon.
Okay.
Yes. Weapon by weapon. So Ballistus Missile Launcher and Laz here, and then Stormbolter there, yes. But you can't do frag here and crack there, or I'm going to do 1 shot from the Laz cannon here and 1 shot from the cannon there.
So that's pretty solid. All right.
Very much so.
All right. The Terminators, what everyone is excited about. Not bad.
No, not bad at all. 4-up invuln base is just a hell of a drug. 2-up save with cover, getting to keep your 2-up save when a lot of things are moving down to AP1 and AP2 feels a lot of like playing with storm shields on GW terrain. Feels really good. The weapon options are fantastic for them. I do think that the best option to take for them right now is probably the Chain Fist, though we'll see.
I'm going to scroll ahead. I just want to see, can you give everyone a Chain Fist? Yeah, so everyone can have a Chain Fist. That's pretty good.
Yep. And I think Chain Fists are fantastic on them especially. And then the Teleport Homer costing 0 CP to rapid ingress when you put the token down, super good. I'm very excited to see what happens with this squad. The limited number of Cyclone missile launchers, it's going to be really interesting to see what the easy to build kit comes with. if it's all just fist and
Well, I'm going to make the bold assumption it's going to be what they've been picturing. So you're going to have four Stormbolters, four Power Fists, one Power Sword, one Cyclone, or not Cyclone, sorry, Assault Cannon.
yep, and I will be really cool and unique and go take an assault terminator or assault intercessor squad, cut off some chain swords, and give myself some chain fists.
You know what you could do, and I don't know how
Hmm.
widely available they are. So the Horus Heresy Tactical Marine box set, they have chain bayonets.
Hmm. I'll look into it.
And so they have the basic bolter, a chain bayonet, and then a regular bayonet because there's three different options for Horus Heresy. That might be a pretty easy, adjustment to the Power Fist. Like I don't see. So you have Fury of the First, which gives them +1 to hit if it's an Oath of
Hmm.
the Moment target. So you're hitting on
Yep.
threes if it's an Oath of the Moment target. You're getting full rerolls. It's the same amount of attacks as a
Hmm.
Power Fist, same strength, same damage, but you get anti-vehicle 3+.
Yeah.
And which heavy weapon you going with?
Oh, for sure. The assault cannon. Devastating wounds, 6 attacks. Like it's the thing, right?
Mhm. I mean, I can see the Cyclone though. It depends on the points, obviously.
I think when it go down into the thing, I can't see because if you're on the other page, don't you just replace one Stormbolter for the Cyclone? Because I can, or do you have to replace that with the assault cannon?
For every 5 models in this unit, one Terminator Stormbolter can be replaced with the following: one Assault Cannon, one Heavy Flamer, or one Cyclone Missile Launcher and one Stormbolter.
Ah, okay.
And you know what this means? If you looked at that Deathwing Terminator entry, there's no more Cyclone Terminator or Cyclone Missile Launchers with Thunderhammer Storm Shield. Like
That's super sad because that's one of my favorites.
that does have a very long history of existing, like since like
Yeah.
third for Dark Angels.
Yep. So yeah, you'll probably go with the assault cannon. The Cyclone missile launcher is nice, but I just can't stress the having two assault cannons with devastating wounds into O's of the Moment. It's just fantastic.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, but what I'm thinking in general is that I guess it depends on the rest of the build, right? So if there's other more efficient, cheaper options to get assault cannons or devastating wounds, like looking at land speeder tornadoes or stern guard or um, trying to think of everything that's assault cannons. Actually, old dreadnoughts used to have assault cannons. So
Sir, land speeder tornadoes, my friend.
that's what I said, land speeder tornado. Like
Oh, sorry.
I
Yeah, those
I
are
think multi
great.
meltas are going to be ripped off all of those and replaced with heavy bolters, which I'm kind of sad about. But it depends on the cost. It depends on what the rest of the build is. But given that they have a 5-inch movement, I kind of want the extra range from the Cyclone Missile Launcher.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a devastating wound is going to be the biggest thing. Ooh, Invader ATVs. Good point, Michael.
I hate that model. It's so ugly.
That's why you got to pretty it up and Legion of the
I,
Damned
I
the heck out of
don't
it until you like it.
I don't know how to improve that model without throwing it in a wood chipper. I have no idea. It is by far the ugliest Space Marine model in the range right now. Anyone who disagrees can fight me.
I do wish also that you could do the assault cannon and cyclone missiles together like you can with um Thousand Suns Terminators.
I mean, we'll see. Maybe that might be an option. I doubt it, but it might be an option when the new Space Marine Codex comes out. And you
Could be.
still can't change out the power sword for anything worthwhile on the Terminator Sergeant. Makes me sad.
Yep.
All right. Mr. Lieutenant, the lone operative. Are we seeing this guy on the table?
Very unlikely. I mean, lone operatives, if you get within 12, especially with his ability of he having to be closer to objectives, at least to the point where he's close to the unit that's trying to mech tick the objective and get rerolls on it, and O's of the Moment already giving rerolls. I mean, I'm hoping that there's going to be lieutenants that can attach to squads and they have the ability to attach to a squad if it already has a captain.
So, I don't know if you remember, but they have the Primaris Lieutenant when they did the Space Marine reveal, all the way back to the beginning of May. It's been a very long time. But he could join 6 different units.
Yeah, so I just don't think that you'll see that much play out of this one
But
specifically.
he looks so cool.
He does infiltrate. He does look fantastic. And it might be that this one is specifically for this box because there's, like we already discussed, there's a problem where you have a multiple leader units that don't have anything that they can attach to, right?
Hmm.
So I think that makes sense. Um, but this dude is so cool with his rules.
I mean, I kind of wish I would have bought every single lieutenant just to have them on my shelf and like all painted, just so we can see the progression of lieutenants throughout the last two editions, because there's been too many of them. But I think this is definitely the coolest looking lieutenant. I actually think this is the coolest looking model in the entire box. Like, he has so much character going on right now.
I do love the amount of flavor and character that they gave this model. It just highlights how problematic lone operative is, right? What we were just talking about, hey, land speeder tornadoes. You know what? Those things are really fast and really good at getting into your backlines.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a shame if you were able to just cap a lieutenant because you were within 12 of him, right?
Mm-hmm. But I do like how he gives reroll ones to wound to everybody, and it's an aura.
Yep.
So it's not core locked anymore. It's not like infantry only. It's literally anybody. So I can see building a gun line around him.
Yep. You just have to figure out how to protect him.
Magic.
Magic.
Hiding him behind the Land Raider.
Unfortunately, we lost the magic phase, so you're going to have to find interesting ways to do it.
All right. So interestingly enough, he can't be your warlord. No more warlord
Correct.
lieutenants. And then the last entry of the Space Marine is the new Apothecary, who also can't join a unit in this release, which is just hilarious to me.
Don't they? Does it list on the street that it can't be touched to anything, or it just says that it's only the Gravis dudes?
It's only the Gravis dudes, so it's only the
Yeah.
assessors, or sorry, aggressors, the eradicators, and heavy intercessor squad. And just looking at his rules, so he gives lethal hits to whatever unit he's joining.
Mm-hmm.
If he destroys a unit, right? If this model's unit destroys, so if the unit he's attached to destroys the unit, he gets objective control characteristic at 9, which that's insane. But who really benefits from lethal hits, right? So eradicators, I don't know if they really care. I mean, we haven't seen the entry yet. Aggressors are twin linked
Boltstorm
everything now.
aggressors. Right, but being able to auto hit on 6s and then reroll wounds is actually really good for an independent squad.
I can see it with having intercessors too.
Yeah. So like it's effective in that way, but it'll really depend on his points, but I think he's going to be somewhere in like the 100 120 range. And I just don't know that you'll see him that much because of his ability. Now he can attach even if there's already a captain,
Yeah.
so he can be a cool add-on. And if he was like down in the 50-point range, I bet you would see him at that point with like the unit that the captain wants to take the center with to be able to just, hey, I've got this cool OBSEC mine model, and when you do your lethal hits or your precision hits, I'm gonna kill the apothecary first, so you give like even more ablative wounds to the captain. But yeah.
Well, okay, so if we're making the general assumption this apothecary can only join Gravis armor guys, and not the jumpy Gravis guys,
Yeah.
just the ones who move really slow. That means the captor chapter master is probably also going to have Gravis armor.
So you get that cool Gravis model with the heavy intercessor gun, and then this dude. But nah, you'd probably want to do an aggressor squad. Do we have an aggressor captain?
There's a Gravis captain, and he has
Yeah,
he has the power.
he's got he's got multiple options. Well, there's two of them, right? There's the one from the limited box that has the heavy bolter, and he's slung it like this. And then there's the other one that has the servo skull, and he's got the power fist and something else, right?
I think that
And there's so many space marines.
They just released a new box where he had the option of a chain sword, a power fist, and a power sword, and then different offhand weapons.
Checking. There's the Gravis captain that has the sword in the air.
That was the 7th edition one, or sorry,
Okay.
8th edition. It's been so long.
Yeah, and then there's the new one is the one that you're talking about, where he's got the power fist and the storm bolter, and he's pushing the storm bolter forward, and he's got the power sword in his backhand, and that can be either a power sword or a, yeah. So
But
cool. There's lots of good options.
If this guy's 100 points, if this guy is more than 60 points, I don't think you're going to see him, because he doesn't give field of pain anymore. He doesn't
lethal hits
revive
is not
anybody.
enough.
I mean, there might be a stratagem for that, but not having a base just field of pain just seems kind of rough.
and no revival ability unless it keys off of Apothecary in that way,
All
which I
right.
don't think it will.
So overall thoughts on Space Marines, and then I'm gonna check in on our poll, see how our poll's doing.
I don't honestly feel like Space Marines out of this box got anything that just instantly wows me and makes me feel like that's going to be something that you're going to see everywhere, right? Like if you go to the ninth edition box, I'm like, yeah, Blade Guard are
Mm-hmm.
freaking awesome. I really expected more out of Outriders than I got from Outriders, but yeah, I the Primaris Captain with Relic Shield was used pretty frequently throughout the edition. Like that box was a solid box that we got a lot of goodness out of. I don't necessarily think that we're going to see a lot that's going to be used aggressively out of this box for
I think
Space
that's fair. I do think the models are very they look good, except for the stubby dreadnought. But like, I'm excited to see new Space Marines. I hope they kind of streamline the profiles. Like, I don't. But so right now our poll has 21 votes, and 71% believe Space Marines are the better choice out of these two, over 29% Tyranids.
Hmm?
And I can see that. And we're going to go over the Tyranid entries now,
Yeah,
but without the stratagems and the relics and all the other accessories that were discussed in play, people have access to for play testing and showing on the streams. Just like you get the sheets alone, like the Space Marine ones are way more durable than the Tyranids, laughably so.
yeah. I still don't know what on the Tyranid side has a good, reliable chance at killing Terminators.
And so I watched 3 battle reports for 3 different content creators playing with the new starter set, like a combat patrol, then like the full boxes. Um, the Tyranids aren't really killing the Terminators. They're just ignoring them and controlling the objectives. So they're just winning by outnumbering and
Right.
using objective control and just taking objectives away from people. It just
In full box versus full box, I think it's a little bit more of a problem. I haven't seen any full box ones. I've just seen the limited combat patrol version because like there's nothing really that reliably
mm,
picks up the Terminators, but the in the return, the Stern Guard are really good at killing the Gaunts of various types, and the Ballistus is really good at killing the Necrophages, or not Necrophage. We'll go into that. Well, anyway,
let's
let's
talk
start
about
with
the
the Ripper
Rippers.
Swarms, and we'll go through,
Everyone's
and then we
favorite
can talk about
model.
that afterwards. Um, they're just cool. I mean, I love that they have the while an enemy unit is within engagement range, you can have their objective control characteristic. I just don't know how you get them within range of anything that cares and not die.
uh, yep. I mean, you're not wrong. I think the big thing is these are, a distraction for your harder hitting units, right? So if your
Yeah.
harder hitting units,
I mean, they're 4 wounds apiece, so you're gonna have to put more attacks into them than you're gonna be comfortable with.
and yeah, so it looks like you can take a unit between 3 and 6. Um, it depends on the points, right? Like every time I ever saw Ripper Swarms on the table, they were controlling objectives and they were just hard to deal with just because they were so tiny and you couldn't see them. And these guys can't physically control an
Yep.
objective by themselves.
Yeah. It's just it's a weird unit. I think it doesn't give me the woohoos.
The Hooves. Hey, they have
Woohoo.
sustained hits with that weapon skill 5 plus though. They got
That is
this.
very true.
But strength too.
I love exploding hits on strength 2 models.
Are they toughness 2 now? I thought they're toughness 3 now.
I
So
think
they're even
they might be
squishier than
toughness
before.
2 because Gretchen are toughness 2, right? Let me check. Ripper Swarm.
All right, I'll let you check that out. I thought they were toughness 3. So we have the Screamer Killer. This is a really
This
cool looking
excites me.
model.
Yeah. Here's the thing. And I think in this book, this is designed to kill the Terminators. I just don't think it does it on a very good job on average. And then it gets clapped back in melee if it does dares to deign to melee with them. Um, you are correct. They are toughness 3 currently. But 10 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 10, AP 2, and flat 3 damage is what you would want to use to kill um, your lovely problematic children that we call Terminators. They also have the blast shot, which is pretty good at AP2. So realistically, you might kill 1 at range and then get in there and kill probably, 3, maybe 4 in melee.
Mm-hmm.
but then at that point, the other 6 just tap you and you die.
So let's math it out real quick. So he's hitting with what, 7 attacks?
Average hitting on 7. Yeah, hitting with 7.
So
Wounding
he's
on 2s.
Yep. So he's
So,
wounding 6 times,
yep,
and then half of them are going to be saved because of a 4-up invulnerable save or
yep.
4-up armor save. So yeah, you're
So
killing 3, and then you have 2 Terminators clap you back, and he doesn't
plus
have an
the
invulnerable
cap,
save.
plus the Capitan. Um, right?
Assuming the captain's attached, what if you put the librarian in there?
And then it becomes better math for you because then he's going to be your O's target, of course, and then you get sustained hits, so exploding 6s to hit. So let's go. No, I forget the box is only a 5-man brick of
Yeah,
Terminators, right?
it's just 5 Terminators, 2 Terminator characters.
So yeah, I mean, the other problem is also getting him across the table while the Ballistus Dreadnought exists.
Yeah,
um,
I just don't see it. I don't see him getting across the table the same way I don't really see the Terminators getting across the table, but at least they have more guns and you can deep strike them.
yeah, also remember the Terminators have access to that +1 to wound strat for 1 CP, which is pretty freaking good.
Yeah, but he looks cool.
So the model is fantastic. I think it will see competitive play because having a 2-up save with 10 wounds, if it's cheap enough, is just going to be fantastic. And forcing battle shock tests with a -1 is just delicious. Especially into something that you might want to go into that might overwatch you, I think is a really solid. I hope they're cheap enough to the point where they're useful in that regard.
With current points, how much do they cost now? Like 115?
Something like that.
Like they're really point efficient currently.
Yeah, you see a lot of spamming of them.
All right.
Though I don't know, Tyranids did get hit pretty hard. 130.
Okay.
Plus all their. So generally they're about 155 with what you would put on them right now.
So something to also keep in mind is that he has the monster keyword, right? So if he's in combat, that means units who are not in combat can shoot at him.
Yeah, the bliss is for Dreadnoughts, not forgetting that you exist even when you start hitting the things in the face.
Poor Mr. Carnifex. All right. Psychophage. This is also another
probably
cool
the winner.
By the way.
This is the winner of the book. If you go from like the lore perspective of they've been fighting chaos recently, so they copied the Venom Crawler, and then gave it cool abilities. I think it's fantastic. It gets a feel no pain innately. It gives out a feel no pain to things close by, which is great. And then anytime it makes melee against things that are below half strength, it gets stronger. It kills things pretty effectively.
And devastating wounds, anti-psyker, like.
No.
No.
If he gets a beat on their, if you attach that, what's it called, to the unit, then you're gonna eat some devastating wounds.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yep.
So how would that work? Because, like I said, I haven't read the rules. So if there's a psyker attached to the squad, do all this stuff wound on 2+ with devastating wounds?
To the best of my knowledge, yes, but I need to double check.
All right. Since we're chatting, is someone on chat can check that? Like, if an attached character is a psyker and attached, does that unit benefit, or I guess not benefit, from the anti-psyker keyword? Because if that's the case, that would be a great way to kill Terminators if you accidentally attach a Terminator library to them.
I mean, even with that, they're only AP1, so giving Terminators 3-ups.
Yeah, but you're doing devastating wounds, right? So.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, on a 4-up to wound, that's.
No, on a 2+.
Oh, that's true.
So you're averaging 4 attacks, we'll say. We'll assume you roll 3+1, hitting 3 times, so you hit 3 times. And then on a 2+, because your librarian's in the unit, that could be bad news. That's 6 more wounds. That's 2 dead Terminators.
That would be 6. That would be. Yep.
I just can't imagine that the entire unit counts as being a psyker.
I think their keywords merge is the reason. Like I'm remembering something about keywords merging together, which is why I'm thinking. So.
All right, let's see what chat says. Because they are better and more prepared than I am.
I've only vaguely read the book.
There is no reference to currently to keyword sharing. Unit gets the keyword, so yes, I believe. Well, we have conflicting opinions. Awesome.
Yep.
So
we'll have to read the book and figure it out.
Yay! Too many things I should have done this weekend. But no, I think this is a fantastic unit. I could see him costing about 100 points, and I'm assuming
Yeah,
he's a HQ choice of some sort. Or no, he's not.
he's just a generic beat stick
So
guy.
yeah, you're probably gonna see three of them most unit list. Like if he's cheap as chips, go ahead, have fun,
Yeah.
do fun things.
He's got a flamer, or sorry, he's got a torrent weapon, so he's doing pretty good in the shooting phase. And then he's just got really good melee attacks. And if he's cheap enough, he's only got 10 wounds, but he's 3 up save. And he plays around with a 5 up heal, no pain. No invuln's a little bit of a sketch, but we can make it work. 3 up save, it's pretty good.
I agree. Now the barb gaunts. I love these guys.
I do not love these guys.
All right, you go first. Why do you not love the barb gaunts?
The gun is cute, and I'll probably, if the effect isn't anywhere else in Tyranids, like on Hive Guard or something like that, I will probably take a min squad just for taking pop shots to slow things down, but the gun is garbage.
Yeah, the gun's not killing anything. The whole entire point of
Yeah.
this unit is to slow down your Terminators, or slow down literally most durable infantry units, right? Like if Death
Yeah.
Guard gets hit by this, that's 2 inches. Have fun. You're
I'm
literally never
I
doing anything.
But yeah, no, it's a I'm just not the biggest fan of this squad. Um I do think that you will take a min squad of them on almost every list to be able to slow things down into play scenario better, but you're only doing it because of that ability, not because the squad is appetizing, right? They
100%.
do have 2 wins apiece, is good, but their save is garbage. Their hitting is garbage unless they stand still. GW did a very good job of going ahead and balancing this around making sure that they're there for that ability.
I mean, I could see running three-man squads, right? I think, oh,
Are they
three
one?
five-man squads.
I was say I don't think you can go below 5 mans with that.
Yeah, just go
If you
for
could
it.
go 3 mans, I would do 2 3 mans.
Yeah. I just think slowing down infantry, I mean, it depends on what the meta comes, right?
Even is it only
It's
infantry
only
models?
infantry.
Yeah, only infantry units. Yeah, you can't do it with tanks, unfortunately.
But you can split fire, right? So you can have, one guy firing
I
at
mean, you
this
would have
squad.
no reason not to.
Yeah, I would just split fire. You're not killing anything reliably when you're hitting on Blitzskill 4, Strength 5 with a 0 AP, 1 damage weapon. So just every single turn you shoot this squad, you just split fire in as many infantry units as they can see.
So Justin, it is raw, and that's how it currently works. You get -2 to your movement, and then if you roll in advance, you're -2 to your roll. So it is a total of a -4 if you advance.
Yeah, they're not.
That is correct.
If this hits Terminators, they're not doing anything.
Yeah. As somebody who played Terminators or Deathwing into a Thunderfire cannon, I can confirm it's bad and it sucks. I should not have left a 10 man. I should have spilled him into 5
Maybe
man.
this is why it's such a sweet spot for them, because like when Thunderfire cannons were all the rage, I was running between 3 and 6 of them in my list, depending on what edition it was, and I love this ability just to be able to manipulate people's movement and have the rest of your fast units just benefit from that. Like, all right, you have a close combat army, cool. You're never getting in charge range. It's just never going to happen.
I feel like it would be better if they had an indirect.
I mean, yeah. would you take?
I mean,
Would you take 30 of them then?
No, I would still only take the minimum, but at least I'd feel like I would get my value out of them all the time. It's the problem of you're not always going to get line of sight on what you need to, and infantry can use terrain in this edition much better than other things can.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't think you're going to see more than just the token minimum unit, and it's going to be heavily dependent on how much they cost. If they're 20 points per model, that's going to be a very stiff tax to try to fit in your list.
I don't know. See, I feel the opposite. Like I would pay 60 or 100 points for this unit, but
I know
I'm crazy like that though.
our playstyles are very different.
100%. All right. So moving on, Termagants, aka New Kittens. So I do like how even though they have flesh wars, like they have the options for the Devourer, they have the options for the Spine Fist. So at least they still have the other weapons that the older kids still have, and they get to just move around. They get some shenanigans. So if you move too close to them, you can just be like, "Hey, I'm running away."
Yeah, and the stratagem to revive 2d6 of them or 1d6 of them, I can't remember how the stratagem reads out, is really fantastic. Um, especially because you can revive the squads even when they're dead,
Yeah.
uh, which is just great. And then they come back down from strategic reserves, and they have the ability with one CP to make them obsec or whatever objective control you want to call them for that turn.
Hmm.
So it's just overall they're a fantastic squad that you're going to get a lot of use. So yeah, no, I think they're fantastic.
I like how the Spine Fists have the assault keyword, the pistol keyword, and Twin Linked. So I don't
Yeah,
know. Which weapon would you take on them?
I'm probably leaning in towards taking the flesh borer. I like the assault aspect of it because I'm just going to be using them with their objective control 2 to get into places,
Hmm.
and strength 5 lets me screw with basically anything I want to. It's still AP 0, but that's okay. And I think I remember seeing something where Gaunts can get lethal hits somewhere.
Okay. Eh,
Um,
we just have to keep scrolling then, huh?
it might not be in this version though, but we'll see.
All right. So, all right.
Yes, yes, Justin. Tell me more about how it would be broken with indirect when I literally saw half of the Eldar Codex having indirect.
Sir, there was only one unit that has indirect so far in that book.
Sir, night spinners exist and you know it.
Okay, so 2 units in that book.
That's too many with Eldar. Um,
So we have the
yeah,
Neuro Tyrant.
this model is fantastic and beautiful, by the way. Just absolutely gorgeous. Um, he's leader and he attaches what did he attach to again off the top?
He attaches to Tyrant Guard or the Neuro Gaunts.
Yeah. I think most of the time you're going to go with Tyrant Guard.
Oh,
The only
100%.
problem is that he is a massive Tyrant Guard are going to need to have like a 2-up save and a 4-up invuln because everything that they attach to is gigantically huge. Um, and yeah, I think it's going to be great. Depending on cost, right? But I like the aspect of especially the Node Lash with your Tyrant Guard, but you have to play them aggressively, which is the hard part for a lot of folks. But getting them either +1 to hit, or if they're battle shocked, +1 to wound, especially when you're giving out -1 to battle shocks, right?
Hmm.
With the shadow and the warp, when the combination with him being on the table, um, he's got a good amount of ranged attacks with torrent, and their AP2. I just think it's going to be played as a model that plays more forward rather than too far back.
I mean, you have to make use of his abilities.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a cheaper model, which I'm hoping is going to be in the 100-point range. And I think that you can make good use out of that.
I can see that.
We also don't know what Synapse does yet. And it letting you give Synapse tokens to things, and
Oh,
then those things can take their Synapse and go off and do the
we,
things is
we know what Synapse
fantastic.
is. Synapse is when you do a battle shock test, you roll 3d6, pick the 2 highest.
I think it's going to have other effects.
You think so? Okay.
I can't see that being the only thing that it gives it. If it does, then that's going to be very disappointing, and this goes down for me a little bit.
Well,
But
so we have to keep in mind that Space Marines and Tyranids, actually, every single army has generic rules, right? And when they get the
yeah,
codex, that's when they get more flavor, they get updated data sheets. So it's possible in the new book that's going to be out, one of the first ones, probably in August, maybe September, if Synapse is only doing, leadership tests on 3d6, or sorry, battle shock tests on 3d6, it might get something else like, +1 to hit or something. We don't know yet.
yeah, they get one of the first codexes, and they might have different abilities, but I'm hoping more towards what we currently have, where they give out invulns or other capabilities and stuff like that as like their flexibility.
I just don't think it's
But
in the index.
yeah, I don't think it'll be in the index either. I think the indexes are going to be much more watered down compared to the codexes.
All right, so the Von Ryan Sleepers. These are also really cool models, and I also like
These
how
are
it's a nod back to the
fantastic.
fourth edition fourth edition rulebook, where they had like a little graph and they're talking about like all the mutant variants of Tyranids, and there's just like this little box at the bottom with a question mark because there's no picture of them, and the fact that they're calling back all the way back to then to respect their lore, it's pretty solid. Like
It's yeah, it's really cool. What do you think about this squad?
I mean, I love them. I would take as many as I can just because how cool they look. But I mean, they get fights first, they get infiltrators, they get stealth, and they can heroically intervene for free.
Do you like move blocking on turn one because you get to infiltrate 9 inches away from your deployment zone, your opponent's deployment zone, and then just charge them on turn one and stop something from moving? Because I do.
You and your
They're like
shenanigans.
scorpions. They're like scorpions on crack. Um, but no, fights first is really good. You're gonna fight first when you charge them, unless they have fight first, and then you get to fight first if they don't have fights first innately in their army. So you get two combat into two combats back to back. The AP1 is a little bit of a struggle for me, but they do get 6 attacks each. I would have liked to see AP2 since it is a 2 damage, or since it is a melee only weapon. But I think they're going to be solid. They have a 6-up invuln, which is pretty fantastic. And we saw the stratagem this weekend where it said that you can 1 CP give a unit a 5-up feel no pain. So they're going to be super annoying to noob block and kill out.
Yeah.
And if you can get that into something and you're like hitting a unit that you want to hit really hard and just tag a tank so that on turn one you're just killing their whole plan, it's great.
No, I think they're pretty good. Like they don't hit that hard, but they're just annoying to deal with.
Yeah, they're a great move blocking unit. They're like the Cerberus Raiders in AdMech.
And we also have to keep in mind how fights first and determining who goes first has changed. So right
Yep.
now, it's the attacker determines the order, correct?
N-
In ninth edition.
current rules?
In ninth edition.
Yes.
But in 10th edition, it's the defender. So, like, if you charge this unit, like if the Space Marine player is charging this unit and the Tyranid player is the defender, they would choose this unit to go first, right?
Yep.
And if the Space Marine player doesn't have any fights first in his army, which appears that with these data sheets they don't have, he gets to fight first if you charge as well. So just a lot of flexibility. Like they're always going to be hitting first in the starter's box.
Yep. I agree. And I think that's going to give them a lot of flexibility. That's also why I want to have 18 of them.
Well, you got those 6 boxes. You will have your 18, sir. But I
will.
challenge you to make them look different. Because you can't have, 3 times 6 of the same exact looking model, even if they're pushed to.
Oh, I absolutely can because I'm just a parade person. But we might see them on a table coming up at an event coming up soon.
Oh, really? And what event is that?
Well, we got to finish through the rest of the data sheets first.
All right, so there's the Neurogons. These guys actually remind me of Gears of War. I don't know why. Like the wretches in Gears of War. That's what they look like to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're gods, right?
Yeah.
And
they're good for move blocking. They're good for being annoying and existing. I just don't have a lot of excitement coming from them. It does extend synapse range. But yeah, they have to be super cheap.
they're going to be like 4 points a model. Like they don't do anything.
Yeah. And quantity is a quality all its own, right? And they also have the revive strat, so you can get them back for things. It'll depend on how much cheaper they are than Termagants. The Termagants are capped at 20 now. So yeah, it will be very interesting to see where we go with this.
And I guess they also get the 1 to 2 Neurogaunt Node Beasts. Is that what was attached to the Hive Tiger?
The Node Beasts are the ones that are the ones that give the I think they're the ones that have the neurosite rule, so they can extend the thing.
Ah, okay. So they're gaunts. That's cool. All right.
Yeah.
And then the Winged Tyranid Prime. So my friend Justin Cook, who's been playing Tyranids since, 2004. I've known this man for a very long time. I actually was in his wedding in late April. He texted me when he saw this come out on Monday, and he's like, "This guy is straight to the dumpster fire." Is he wrong?
It heavily depends on if there is a separate data sheet in the index that allows you to use other war gear properly. He has other problems, like if you look in the other part, it says he attaches to warriors, and it's either melee warrior unit or ranged warrior unit, which is making me regret having warriors currently. But he gives warriors sustained hits, which is really good. And he gets to fight on death, which is pretty fantastic. But I just have concerns. I don't find him to be straight to the dumpster fire, but I think that this is the data sheet that we're seeing for the purpose of this. Now, if we don't get a separate Tyranid Prime and it's just the only way to take the winged one is this one, then yes, straight to the dumpster fire. It can stay there and it will exist there for all.
So,
But
so I have mixed feelings about this guy. On the one hand, like I'm going to make the general assumption that warriors move like 6 inches, like they do now, and being able to attach a character that moves 12 inches to a unit that can only move 6,
so silly.
you're picking up what I'm putting down, right? Like he can expend charges, you just maintain coherency, and he can just jump all over the place, and he can make charges and move blocking shenanigans, and he's just really annoying. But he doesn't really do much. Like he kills Space Marines, I guess.
The problem is coherency. Like I've thought about that before, where you get him into something and then stretch his unit back, and then he gets to exist with a blade of wounds all the way out the back, where it's just like a crap ton of a blade of wounds that you have to get through. But he doesn't have an invuln. So okay. Like I have to get through your unit of dudes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not super stoked.
And the other thing I was a little bummed about, I get why it's not on here, and I hope the Tyranid Codex rectify this. This is a beautiful model, right? This is a nice baseline for Shrikes, for Tyranid Shrikes, which are literally just
Right.
warriors with wings. I truly, sincerely hope that we get a box of Shrikes with the new Codex.
I hope we get a box of strikes with way better model because it's the worst model I have seen.
You don't like this model?
No, the wings are horrible. Why in the world would you put your wing membrane on the bottom instead of the top?
All right, hold on. I'm
Right?
gonna see if I could pick. Actually, I won't do that because it's gonna mess everything up. But I was gonna see if I could find. I mean, it's a push fit. That's an easy fix.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I mean, I'm gonna probably. I'm hoping that the option in the index. This is just the option for the box,
Mhm.
right? The option for the index is going to be everything that your normal wing tyrant prime can take, and it's just you just pick wings and you lose one of the other two slots, so you can still have bone swords or the gun, and then we're in a good spot, right?
Mhm.
Like mine's a converted broodlord. I love the shit out of my model. I will happily give it some wings. Um, but this model just is so disappointing to me. It does not look. My expectations were not met with this
They
one.
were not met.
No,
I mean, I like him. I think he's pretty cool. I get what people are saying about the wings, but I feel like that's an easy adjustment. Like,
you're not wrong, but this is the vision GW is putting forward.
well, they're probably trying to make it so he doesn't get sniped in terrain or something.
That and also the freaking screamer killer having a receding hairline bothers me,
All right.
or receding carapace line, we'll say.
All right. So it's 8 o'clock now. So let's chat about these two. So I think we're all kind of in agreement. It looks like the chat's in agreement as well that out of the starter top box, the Marines have the better data sheets.
Absolutely.
But I do think that the Tyranids with the stratagems that have been revealed, I think they have way more objective control, and they do have the speed to get to those objectives and the staying power. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to getting my hands on the Leviathan box. I'm looking forward to playing a couple games with them to see how everything works out, and I'm also looking forward to painting them.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the boxes are well matched up when you consider two players that know what they're doing, because I think that you have a chance as the Tyranid player of being able to win by playing the objective, using objective control and doing it. I think that in the hands of new players, people are going to get a really bad experience that thinking that Tyranids are crap. But we had the same problem with Necrons versus Space Marines in the last one. So,
Well, let's think back to all the starter boxes, right? So I started playing in third edition. In third edition, it was Space Marines versus Dark Eldar, and I don't think Space Marines ever lost that one.
no.
All right, and then the next one was Space Marines versus Tyranids. Same issue, right? Because Space Marines
Yep.
had guns and Tyranids only had Gene Stealers, and there's nothing they could do. And then we had Dark Angels versus Black Legion, which I think was pretty even.
Yeah.
Um, all right, how many out, guys? What was next? Was it
Well,
Death Guard and Ultramarines? Or no, there was Ultramarines versus Orcs.
yeah, Ultramarines versus Orcs was 7th?
No, that was sixth, fifth or sixth.
Was it 6th?
Yeah,
When was Shadow Spear? That was 8th, right? That was when we got the redo of the entire Death Guard line.
Yeah. yeah. So eighth
That
was
well.
Death Guard and Ultramarines, and ninth was Ultramarines and Necrons.
So what you're saying is that GW
Really likes
prefers Space Marines
Ultramarines.
and they get to win everything. Got it. Okay, this makes complete sense. I see nothing
It's
wrong with this
almost
argument.
as if 80% of 40K players own Space Marines of some sort or fashion.
Assault on Black Reach was 6th edition.
So that means the Dark Angels Black Legion one that was 7th. All right. So I don't know. I think they're interesting. They play completely differently. They have a lot of character. I can see how both sides can win. They're two completely different play styles. Um, but yeah, like I think two advanced players like such as you and myself could give both armies a pretty good go. But if you're picking up these, like this is your first time playing 40K, Space Marines definitely have the advantage. Like they could just
I
stay
really
back and shoot.
I really do wonder what the percentage is of people that buy these boxes that are new players, because I know I did when I first started, versus how many people are buying these boxes like we are to fill out collections and get all the new stuff.
So I think the people who are buying just a starter box, those are going to be your newer players, right? You know, they go into the Games Workshop store, they're seeing the new Bolt Gun game, or they're seeing the new Space Marine 2 game. They're like, man, how do I play the actual game? And then they get the starter box. And they're like, all right, well, that's pretty cool. We'll pick that up. So, I mean, there has to be a large percentage. Like, they're
Yeah.
streamlining all these data sheets, they're streamlining the rules in order to encourage kids and new players to jump in and enjoy the hobby, right? Like they've
Mhm.
relaxed the painting requirements, they relaxed like the chapter stuff, so you can just slap on whatever color scheme you want and just call it an ultramarine, right? So
I think the biggest deal with this box is I think this box is incredibly balanced. And I think that it's nothing we're going to surprise. Like if you remember from Indominus, Indominus had some very overtuned things that got adjusted down when the Codex came out, and that was kind of what feels bad for players like Judiciar's 6-inch range. Rest in peace. Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see where we go
yeah,
from here.
nothing
But I
like
think
nothing
this
seems
looks like a significant.
overtuned. Like everything seems
Yeah,
like
at
relaxed
all.
and like fair. Like there's
Yeah,
no auto takes in my opinion.
I would agree. I can't think of anything that I'm just jumping out at that I must have that thing.
All right. So on that note, so final thoughts, and then we could talk about any promotional stuff and what's going on the rest of this week.
Very well balanced boxes. I'm very excited to see indexes to see where we're going with this stuff and if it's the same in the index. And I think that people are going to be very happy with this box playing against their buddies with the same box.
I agree, and I know there's a lot of concern about people scalping, but talking to some of the business owners and how many boxes they're getting, you're going to get your box.
Yeah, I think that we will have a flood of these on the
Like
market like we did with
Mr. Brian Horton,
Dominus.
who comes on our Monday and Thursday show, like he said that his company that he works for is getting over 600 boxes. So that's a lot, right? Your average store is probably going to get about 100 boxes. So
I do not think you'll have a problem getting
yeah,
your
so
box.
don't if you support your local game store. Long story short, you could probably find this box at your local game store. They might be doing a special event on release weekend. So pre-orders for this box go up this weekend at various times, and the actual release of the box set and the new 10th edition 40K is on June 24th. You ready, Steven?
I am ready. I've already got my started my conversations for pre-orders for next week.
I'm excited too because it appears that Games Workshop is going to start releasing more and more of the indexes as we get closer to the release date. So we have a good idea of what we're going to be playing, what models to buy, you know, what to practice and try out for the launch of 10th edition. And the team at Death or Glory is currently working on doing a streaming release weekend where we stream 8 to 10 games that weekend over Friday and Saturday and have in-depth discussions about why we put these models in our list, and hopefully everything will be beautifully painted and on beautiful terrain as well, and a whole bunch of different personalities that you've seen on here and some new ones who are really fun to hang out with. So more info about that is forthcoming. I hope Steven can join us.
I am optimistically going to be there. I very much hope so.
I wanted to see him to play some Tyranids against Brad.
No. I have a matchup for Brad. I know we had already thought about some matchups. I have a matchup for Brad.
Let's hear it. What is
No.
this matchup
We got
for
to
Brad?
keep
Are we
that.
keeping it a secret?
We got to keep it a secret. I don't even want Brad to know what's coming.
Well, we need to know what army he's going to play, though.
He'll be playing Eldar
Okay.
because I want to see if we can put the rebellious Eldar down, or if they are as unbelievably overpowered as everybody thinks they are.
All right, you heard it here first. Steven is going to put Brad's Eldar down in the respectful spot.
We just need to do it first, so that way if he dies, he can't blame that for the loss.
If he dies, it's probably because when he comes on Friday, he's going to be like partying hard, and we're going to be up to like 4 a.m. shooting the shit about army lists and drinking too much and having a fire outside.
Oh, you're giving him excuses already? Dang, he's not even here to get excuses.
I'm ready for this. So
yes, DG versus Eldar. That's how I'm going to prove my dominance as I move 2 inches a turn.
Good thing you have lethal weapons everywhere. But
oh gosh, I know wounding tier 3 with all these weapons was so hard. Oh crap!
All right, so I do apologize to everybody. I had it set up where I could see chats, and then I clicked a button, and then that went away, and I didn't want to pay attention to my phone. So a couple of shout outs before we head out. Mr. Kyle's birthday is tomorrow. Kyle,
happy birthday, Kyle.
What are you doing for your birthday, buddy? Do you want to jump on stream and paint demons?
He needs to catch caught up because he's got to get all these demons painted for 10th edition.
Right. All right. So I'm going to end the poll too. So it looks like Marines out of 27 votes, Marines versus Tyranids, Marines won 74-26. And do you have any shout-outs that you want to do, Steven?
Come see me, Salt City GT, July 7th and 8th. It should be a grand time. Come see me also at the U.S. Open in Tacoma, the weekend of the 17th, I believe. It's going to be a grand old time. And then ATC, make sure you're there. Bring your team, bring your bros, have a good time. It is the most fun weekend in 40K with your friends. Have a good time.
So speaking of ATC, right now Death or Glory has 6 teams going, and we're working on a 7th team coming.
Because we got to show the spirit to everybody, right?
I'm ready. Buku represent. So for rest of the content this week, I don't believe GW is releasing anything tomorrow, but on Thursday and Friday, rumor has it they're going to release all of the data sheets for Space Marines and Tyranids. So if that's accurate, I think we're going to have a very in-depth breakdown of all the data sheets, like picking out our favorites and talking about them. Hopefully with a new and improved and revitalized Brad Chester.
Yep.
Tomorrow, I do plan on having the weekly work in progress hobby stream at 1 p.m. Hopefully with Mr. Brad, but if not, Mr. Steven has volunteered to paint some models on stream with me, so we can have 2 hobbyists going on at the same time, which will be pretty cool.
It's going to be great.
But thank you everybody for joining us. It's been a blast as always. I appreciate all the feedback, and hopefully this wasn't too much of an abomination. So on that note, we're leaving. Stay milky, my friends.